I want to welcome you to day 5 of the Vet Your Spending Challenge. And I know that throughout these days, we have been doing some really heavy work. And with us doing this very heavy work, it's not only intended for us to get to some things, it's intended for us to release some things. So as we jump into day 5, your exercise from yesterday is positioning you to be ready for the lesson inside of day 5. So one of the things that I want to be able to open up with you, as you all know, each and every time that we do this challenge, that I am doing this work with you. So I don't want you to think that as I'm giving assignments, that I'm not doing the assignment. And so if it's all right with you, I would love to have the privilege of receiving not only your ear, but also receiving your full attention, as well as your compassion, as well as your openness to be willing to hear and listen to my own letter to myself. So your growth work from day 4 was the assignment for you to reach back and speak to your younger you as it relates to a particular gift that you might have really been yearning to receive that you didn't get. And so it's important for me to be transparent and let you guys know that I too have been in this space where I didn't get what I wanted, where I didn't get what I wished for, and how that played out for me. So in this season, I would like to read and share with you all my letter to my younger me. And I just hope that you can take it all in. Dear young Sophie, it's time to wake up. It's Christmas morning. So it's time to check if Santa ate the cookies and drank the milk that you and your cousins left out for him. Let's go check out the Christmas tree to see if more stuff got added under that tree. I know you are hesitant because you know there's not much under the tree for you. I know oftentimes you feel sad because nothing on your list ever ends up under Grandma's Christmas tree. At 6 and 7 years old, you had dreams of getting your own baby alive, a black one to be exact. Every year, you made a Christmas list and it was on it because all the other kids at school talked about having a baby alive and all of the other kids were saying that they were going to get one. That really made you want one too. You wanted to be able to say you had one too and then show it to your friends at school. That feeling of being left out again was something you really did not want to have to face once again. In this particular Christmas, you were hopeful that the cookies and the milk that was left out for Santa and the fact that you had been a good girl would do the trick to get what you really wanted, a black and beautiful baby alive. So you rise out of bed with your cousins as she wakes you up to go downstairs with her. She was ready to rip the wrapping paper off all of the gifts. You both run downstairs in PJs to see that the cookies and the milk are gone. Your little observant mind immediately thought, okay, Santa was here. As you and your cousins tried to sort through gifts, you heard a yell from upstairs from Grandma that said, "Wait no, Sophie, wait no." The anticipation had you antsy, and I guess Grandma wanted to see us open up our gifts. All of the grandkids sat in the middle of the living room waiting. Once Grandma gave the green light for the grandkids to open the gifts, we all jumped in for the most part. but grandma and aunties did help with passing some of those gifts out. As each gift with your name on it was passed to you, you were excited because it had Santa's name on it as the from, and some of them had grandma's name on it as the from. You got about 3 or 4 gifts in total that year, and none of them was the baby alive. Young Sophie, I know that disappointed you. I know that made you feel sad. I know that you really wanted that baby alive. And seeing all the other things that your other cousins got made you feel even worse. Now that you have to go back to school and tell your friends you didn't get a baby alive, but instead you got some colorful dollar store toys. Not receiving the things you really wanted made you feel like you'll never get what you really want from someone else, no matter how good you are. Ouch. Whew. I know you wanted that baby alive so bad to not only quote unquote fit in and to be in the Me Too Christmas gift movement, to be able to say, I got one too, but to also resolve your inquisitive mind. When you saw that TV commercial with the baby doll crying and being fed and clothes being changed, you were so curious as to how that could be. So you wanted a baby alive of your own so you could see how it operated. Year after year with no baby alive and seeing other family members get better gifts than you, you gave your hopes up around getting gifts on Christmas because it made you feel more left out, and it made you feel more deprived, and it made you feel like you were not worthy of getting what you wanted anyway. As a result of that, your expectations diminished. And not only that, you just began to be excited to just get something from somebody. You learn not to place your expectations. You learn not to put your desires. You learn not to put what you really wanted in someone else's hands. Because in that moment, you had to figure out, when am I going to be able to get it for me? Because I can't count on anyone else to fulfill my dreams. In that moment, your wall around receiving from others was built. So as you can see, I completed my growth work. And I appreciate every single time I have an opportunity to do this exercise, because it honestly and truthfully gives me the chance to speak to another level, another age, another experience around the holidays that I might not have been able to touch on or speak to in prior years. So there were some things in this letter that I said I had to put ouch beside. There were some things in this letter where I said, this made me smile. Just remembering the excitement of my families and being excited for them for getting the cool stuff. But then thinking, man, what about me? Thinking about, man, am I ever going to get anything I want? Man, will I ever get to see what this baby alive is all about? And we have to understand that speaking to our younger self, speaking to the things that we really wish we would have received, allowing our truth, our bold truth, to come up and come out. Because in that moment that you can do that, you're going to have a revelation that's going to bless you much farther than you can imagine. And even as I think about my letter from last year, and it's interesting, and I want to be able to show this to you all, because You can be able to see the growth between your growth work assignments. And that's intentionally why I've labeled them as growth work assignments, because that is exactly what it's intended to be. So if you participated in the challenge last year, I hope you still have your letter. But if you didn't participate in the challenge last year and this is your first time, I want to be able to give you a glimpse of what my letter was looking like last year. So take a listen to this. I would really like to take this moment to share my letter and my story with you. Is that all right? Whew. Dear young Sophie, it's another Christmas morning. This time, you're about 8 or 9 years old, and it's time to head to Grandma's house. You and Mom get out the door, walk up the block holding hands to catch the bus on Rhode Island Avenue before you miss it. Y'all know Christmas time, look, my mama ain't drive, so we was on the bus, okay? And so Christmas time to get to Grandma's house, holidays, it rained on Sunday schedule, so if we missed the bus, we would have been out there for an hour and a half. Okay, back to the letter. After the short bus ride, you walk down the street, you walk up the steps, walk through the door at Grandma's house to see the Christmas tree all dolled up. Wreaths on the wall, lights on the tree, ornaments hanging, candy canes hanging, and a whole bunch of presents around the tree. You were excited. You were excited because everything looked so pretty. And you were even more excited just to see the visual of the Christmas spirit, because Mom never put up a tree at her house. But at Grandma's house, she created the experience. She even kept the tree up and at least one present unopened under it until New Year's Day. That was her tradition. Grandma, Mom, and aunties sure had a way of making Christmas look real good, even though we ain't had no money. I know there were times where you wondered if there would be anything under the Christmas tree with your name on it. Your little 8-year-old self said, would I get anything? What would I get? Who would get me something? How many gifts will I get? I remember the countless times on Christmas Day where you began to count the number of gifts you received as an early teen. As a kid, you wanted a lot of things deep down that you knew you couldn't ask for, because asking felt like a burden. Asking felt like being ungrateful for what you already had. Asking felt like you're going to be disappointed anyway because you won't get it. Asking felt selfish. I remember you wanted a baby alive for Christmas. You never got it. I remember you wanted a new pair of shoes for Christmas. Guess what? You never got it. I remember you wanted a dollhouse. You never got it. I remember you wanted a bike as a kid. You never got it until your 15th birthday. Mom surprised you and took you to Sears, and that's where you picked out and got your very first bike ever. A 15-speed purple mountain bike. If y'all don't know, purple is my favorite color. It's my favorite color. As you got older, I remember you wanted name brand clothes. You started wanting designer labels. You wanted Iceberg. You wanted Parasuco. You wanted Sergio. You wanted Ralph Lauren. You wanted Timberlands. You wanted anything with a label that was worn by the popular kids because Mama couldn't get it for you. But eventually, you got it for yourself if you bought it for yourself. To be quite honest, you really didn't want much. But I do remember the sadness you sometimes felt because someone else in the family may have gotten more than you, or they may have received better gifts than you. Whew. That feeling, that feeling. It made you feel like you weren't worthy of getting greater or better. It made you feel left out. It made you feel small. It made you feel like an afterthought. And that is where your wall began to develop. Your anticipation and expectation of gifts from others diminished and ultimately carried no value to you. You trained yourself not to expect anything good from anyone or from others in general. Whatever you did receive, you learned to accept it for what it is with little to no emotional attachment. You appreciated every thought. You appreciated every gift. You appreciated every present that had your name written on it. But you never made the gift itself a big deal. Thinking back on how not getting the things you wished for as a child made you feel internally, it made you feel sad. It made you feel disappointed. It made you feel insecure. It made you shrink. It made you feel deprived. It made you feel like you could never truly get what you desired or wanted. It made you feel so limited. As a kid, I'm not fully sure what feeling you were desiring as a result of wanting those gifts that were on your list. But as an adolescent, you were definitely desiring the ability to stroke your inner ego in order to make up for being teased, in order to make up for being picked on, in order to make up for being talked about so badly as a child. You wanted to be able to at least get one thing from someone else that you wouldn't have to buy yourself. Because you doubted your worth, because you doubted your ability to receive good from others, because you dismissed desiring things from others as a child, you groomed your mind not to equate getting gifts as an expression of love from someone else. So why did I do this playback? Why did I run this back and allow you the opportunity to see what I wrote to myself 1 year ago? I don't know if you've picked up on some of the commonalities, but I did realize and recognize while listening to this back with you all is that I use some of the same terms in each of these letters, even though they might have been pertaining to different scenarios. And one thing that I realized by going back and doing this work is that I drilled down and specified it down to a specific Christmas experience, as opposed to in prior years, I attributed my letter to childhood to adolescent years. But what was the thing that really came up in both letters? And this is the reason why I have you all do this exercise, is because we need to address the point of the big R word, rejection. When we feel like we are not able to get what we ask for, when we feel that we have put and made our wants known and it is not made available, it is not received, it is not given to us, we are going to begin to feel rejected. We are going to begin to feel like our voice is not worthy of being heard. We are going to begin to feel like it's impossible to put an axe out there and get that axe as a result. So how can we deal with this level of rejection? You writing this letter to your younger self It's giving you that space and that opportunity to begin to face your bold realities, face your bold truths, so that we can be able to address it in part two. So if you feel like, I did my growth work, but I didn't really take it to the level that I needed to take it, by all means, feel free to redo it and write the letter to yourself from the position of you painting the picture. Really draw back that memory, really tap back into those feelings, really think about what it was that you really wanted and why you wanted it, and get to the core reason of what that desire was that you wanted to receive as a result of getting that gift. I realized that I wanted to be able to fit in. I wanted that baby alive for two reasons. Because I was curious, number one, as to how in the world can a fake thing have real crying sounding voices, being able to drink bottles. And even though it was fake bottles, once I finally got it, I realized, oh, this ain't even really a real bottle. But the noise that it made, I was so curious. But I also wanted to be able to say, me too. I got one too. And how does that translate into your gift giving? I shared with you all in prior days that one of the reasons why I gave so much was because I remembered how it felt to feel left out. I remembered what it felt like to not be able to have something, but all the other kids have it. I remember how it felt to be teased. And because of that, if I had an opportunity to buy you some name brand, you was going to get it. If I had an opportunity to be able to get you something that you asked for, you was going to get it. Because I know the feeling of being in anticipation of something, being told if you're naughty or if you're nice. If you're nice, you're going to get it. But being nice didn't allow me to get it. So I want you to face your music. I want you to uncover your real thoughts, your real reasons, your real motivations behind the things that you wanted to get or that you maybe even got, and how that plays into your subconscious mind. But how are we going to address that from a healing standpoint? Because this letter was designed to introduce your healing. This letter was designed to help you uncover your truths so that you can be able to get to the root. And the only way that you can be real, the only way that you can be upfront, the only way that you can be totally honest with yourself in this moment is by being willing to acknowledge what you experience so that you can move forward into the next season of your healing. And what is the next season or the next step of your healing? I'm so glad that you asked, because what I want to do is share with you what your next growth work assignment is. So your next growth work assignment is going to look like you doing another letter. But this letter is going to allow you to speak to your present you. And let me share this because I've read some of the letters and the growth work assignments that came in. You guys did exceptional. And there was one particular growth work assignment that I read. I was just like, ooh, they already on it. They were already speaking to their present self. Speaking to their present self. So I know sometimes these exercises may seem like it's going to commingle, but if you've already started it, you're on the right track. So the part two of this is to allow yourself to write yourself a letter to you, your present self, your you today, on what you realized or what you learned about yourself as a result of reflecting and writing this letter and thinking back on what you might not have been able to receive and how that plays into your ability and your capacity and your desire to even give out of impulse or give out of guilt, and how you can tie that into your spending during this holiday season. Or maybe even special occasions. I'll add that in. I want you to explain in your letter that you're going to write to your present you, to your adult you. You're going to explain how those childhood or those past desires and those past wants of you not getting them, how they have funneled into your current ways of how you spend on others. How you spend on others, how you spend on your parents, how you spend on your siblings, how you spend on your children, how you spend on your nieces, how you spend on your nephews, how you spend on your friends, how you spend on your husband. Shall I continue? I think I shall. How you spend on your wife, how you spend on your coworkers, how you spend on your students. Come on, I can continue because there is a trend. And then to add on the bonus to that, it could be or how you spend on yourself. Because you may have been in a season like me where you might have cut off Christmas in terms of gift giving and gift exchange. But are you treating yourself like a Christmas experience every day by buying yourself something new every chance that you get? So explain how those past childhood desires, those experiences, those wants, and you not getting them, how it's trickling into how you spend on yourself and how you spend for others. Once you've had an opportunity to do that, you're now going to pour into your younger self. How are you going to pour into your younger self? You're going to tell your younger self what your adult self will now commit to doing differently going forward. So what will your adult you tell your younger you that you're going to change the game about when it comes to how you spend during the holidays? Your letter to your present you, to your adult you, is intended for you to acknowledge your behaviors, for you to acknowledge your sadness, for you to acknowledge your disappointments, for you to stand firm in what it is that you're choosing to do going forward, so that you can move into a space of healing and so that you can move into a space of forgiving yourself for whatever you may feel guilty about. Because even in those times, even in those moments, even in those instances in which you receive something, but it wasn't what you wanted, you might have felt like you might have been ungrateful for the 3 or the 4 things that you did get. Come on, can I tell the truth? You might need to forgive yourself around that. You might need to tell your younger self, I forgive you for the way that you responded. I forgive you for the neglect that you've expressed for the 2, the 3, the 4, or the 1 gift that you might have received. So your growth work for day 5 is to move into your space of healing so that you can not only acknowledge, address the disappointment, the sadness, the frustration, or maybe even some of the happiness, because some of you guys had grand Christmases. You had no worries. You had no instances in where what you experienced during your holidays had a negative or positive experience on you. And that is great. That is great. And you still need to do this work, even if that is the case for you. I really want you to also take your time on this, because I know when we go through the space of wanting to jump right in, sometimes we don't take the moment to pause. You might want to go back and reread your letter. You might want to go back and, if you participated last year, you might want to go back and reread your letter from last year. If you participated the year before, you might want to go back and read that if you still have it, and so forth. And just do a compare and contrast to see what will come up for you. And sometimes you need to revisit your letter, and you may need to say it out loud. Like when I read this one out loud, I said, ouch, because it stung, because of the truth that was behind it. Your growth work assignment for day 5 is going to position you for peace. It's going to position you to be even more enlightened. It may even position you to be more curious. It may even position you to be more grateful. It may even position you to be unbiased and forgiving, not only of yourself, but also forgiving of others who may have disappointed you in your life due to the season that they were in. Ooh, we're going to get deep and even deeper. Please stretch yourself and push yourself to do so, because these exercises are intended to help you grow further in this Vet Your Spending Challenge, because it's not only about the ability to be able to reserve funds to preserve funds, to question your expenses, to build budgets. It's about dealing with the emotional side of the house as well. And that's the foundation. So if you can't address that, then you really can't address anything. But don't worry, all of the good stuff is coming. You're going to get everything that you asked for, just as long as you continue to come back. Tomorrow on time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with your growth work ready, and you can still invite others to come in and join. Registration will be cutting off soon. So if you've heard anything that we've covered and you believe that someone you know needs to get inside of this work with you, share the registration link with them, or better yet, share the video. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia